And if it comes after me... Oh! Wait, what?
What? Was that a glitch? What?
Wait! That wasn't me! So, I said a lot of shit about Resident Evil 5 in my review, and for those of you who knew what the next game was going to be, I'm pretty sure some of you might have assumed I was going to do the same for this game, if not worse. Well, I've been sitting in this confessional for about 3 hours now, so I guess it's finally time to confess my sins. I love Resident Evil 6. I have never felt more against the world than when I played this game, really enjoyed this game, and then everyone around me hated it. So Resident Evil 6 came out in 2013, and when this game came out, not a lot of nice things were said about it. There was a lot of shit being said about Resident Evil 5, but a good amount of people say that Resident Evil 6 was the game that killed the Resident Evil franchise. Now, I'm not going to act like I don't see the problems with this game and everyone else is just butthurt for no reason, but before I get into the nitty gritty, let's get into the story. So in this game, you play as Leon Kennedy, Helena Harper, Chris Redfield, Pierce Nevins, Jake Mueller, Sherry Birkin, and Ada Wong. Yeah, starting to see one of the problems already. This game is broken up into 3 separate campaigns with a secret 4th one at the end. Leon and Helena's campaign is more story focused, with them trying to take down Derek Clifford Simmons, the man responsible for releasing the C virus. And Chris and Pierce's story is more character driven, with Chris on a whole revenge plot trying to kill Ada Wong, because with her gone, Leon would have no choice but to marry Chris's sister Claire. I'm pretty sure that's the reason.
You will fuck my Claire Bear, and you will continue the Redfield bloodline.
Jake and Sherry's campaign is a lot more contained compared to the other two. Sherry needs a sample of Jake's blood, and Jake is willing to give it to her for the right price, if you know what I'm saying. And it would be a simple escort mission, except for the fact that Thomas the Tyrant is chasing after them throughout the whole campaign. What?
What? Why did I crawl?
And then the 4th campaign is just Ada's point of view, getting a glimpse of what she was doing behind the scenes. But let's get down to the first complaint of this game. This game has far too much stuff going on. A lot of people say that this game is extremely unfocused by having multiple campaigns and too many characters. I like to call this the Sonic 06 formula, but here's the thing. Even though I'm not going to act like I was a huge fan of the story, it was at least entertaining for me. Oh, there's a bunch of guns right here. Oh, remote bombs. The biggest problem I had with Resident Evil 5 was that it felt like an action game trying to be a horror game, where in Resident Evil 6, they don't even try to act like it's a horror game. And that one factor is the main reason why I believe that this game is a lot more fun to play than Resident Evil 5. Because Resident Evil 5 felt like it was half-assed on action and horror because it didn't know what it wanted to be. Where in Resident Evil 6, it is full-fledged, absolutely ridiculous, over-the-top action at its finest. Do I gotta get his attention? I think I do. What's up? Over here, fat show.
It comes back.
What? Come back to you! You can hate Resident Evil 6, but you cannot tell me that Leon and Helena running away from a whole city collapsing behind them, Chris and Pierce driving through a herd of zombies on a truck, and Jake and Sherry on snowmobiles driving away from an avalanche is boring in the slightest. What's happening to the rocks? Wait a minute! Oh! Wait a minute! Oh! I didn't sign up for this! I didn't sign up for this! Is it ridiculous? Absolutely. But Resident Evil has always been ridiculous.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Now I will have my revenge on Umbrella, and the world will burn in an inferno of hate.
You'll pay for what you've done.
I was baffled by how many people hated this game more than 5, because even though 6 doesn't have the horror like previous Resident Evil titles, I still consider this a Resident Evil game, because it has the campiness and absurdities that make a Resident Evil game fun.
Captain, there's a train coming!
Oh god! Captain, there's a train coming!
I was expecting. So that's what he meant.
Resident Evil 5 had none of that for me. It felt very safe by simply copying off of enemies from Resident Evil 4 but giving them new skins, while also taking out the charm and fear elements that made those enemies unique in 4. The Juavos might not be scary, but at least they were challenging. But I will say I did play the game differently than everyone else, and that was definitely a factor for why I love this game more than everyone else. You see, the first time I played this game, I played it in single player on normal difficulty, and at the end of the day, I thought it was enjoyable. I didn't think it was on the level of previous titles, but I without a doubt thought it was better than 5, especially considering that the AI actually worked with me. But it was my second playthrough that changed my thoughts completely on this game. You see, I hadn't touched Resident Evil 6 since its release, and my buddy Tavon was going through all the Resident Evil games for the first time. Me and him just finished Resident Evil 5 and we were about to jump onto 6. But before we went on our journey, I had an interesting idea. So what I proposed was that we play the game in chronological order, and on top of that, and I didn't tell him this until we finished the whole game, I put the difficulty at professional, and I had no idea that would be the greatest decision I have ever made in video game history.
Yes. Yeah!
Wait! Those two decisions took this game to brand new heights. Because the last time I played this game was in 2013 when it came out, so I didn't remember much of the story. This is how the story should have been played out. Playing this game in chronological order, switching between characters mid-story made the game so much more digestible and a lot less confusing. It legit made the story feel a lot more grand and bigger on scale, and by the end it was Tavon's favorite Resident Evil game. And I don't blame him. The gameplay on normal difficulty felt so easy, but the moment I bumped that difficulty up to professional, it became one of the most intense Resident Evil games I have ever played. Wait!
Coming. I'm coming.
Oh my god. Yeah, I know I'm gonna die. There was like 2, yeah, 3, yeah. Now, I will say the inventory screen is the absolute worst inventory screen out of all the Resident Evil games, and the fact that there is no merchant or anywhere to buy or upgrade weapons is irritating. But all of those complaints slowly turned into small nitpicks because of how enjoyable the gameplay was. You can hate this game all you want, but the dodging, sliding, and melee in this game is very precise and extremely fun to use. Melee has never felt this useful before, and I was able to save so much ammo because it was so much easier to just run up to enemies and lay the smackdown on their candy asses. Now, I will say, soundtrack wise, there wasn't really anything that stood out for me. It doesn't sound bad, it just sounds like a Batman Arkham game. So I will give Resident Evil 5 credit for at least giving me 3 tracks that I remember from the game. Now, I don't know if I persuaded anyone to give this game another shot. Honestly, this whole video was just me defending myself. But I honestly do believe that if you're looking for an action-packed fun time with the boys, then I absolutely recommend that you and a friend played this game the exact way that me and my buddy Tavon played it. It honestly might surprise you. Clicking square with my dear life.
I'm almost there.
You can tell from these clips that Jake and Sherry's campaign was our favorite. But with all that said, Resident Evil 6 gave us some entertaining set pieces, an over-the-top story, a lot of characters, and a fun-ass multiplayer. But that being said, I do know that my experience was very different from everyone else's. So I'm going to do something that I have never done before and give this game 2 rankings depending on how you play it. So with that being said, if you were to play the game on normal difficulty in single player going through every campaign one by one, then my final verdict for Resident Evil 6 would be the bronze seal of approval. But with that being said, if you were to play this game on professional mode or higher in chronological order with a friend, then my final verdict for Resident Evil 6 would be the golden seal of approval. I regret nothing.